Oh, and welcome to the NHL Best Bets. Last night there were only one game, and we were predicting that was a goaltender clinic between Finnish goaltenders Kevin Lankinen, Chicago Blackhawks, and Joonas Korpisalo at Columbus Blue Jackets. Our picks, even though there was only one game, we made two picks, and first one under 5.5 goals, that was correct. End result was 2-1 to Columbus. And then our pick Chicago home team. It was tight game, but this time puck was bouncing to the Columbus side, and Korpisalo was playing extremely well as a goalie. Tommy, prediction was pretty much aligned. What happened in real life, or was there any surprises in this match?
No, it was exactly as we planned the game. Both goaltenders extremely good. Both teams lacking a little bit in the scoring proficiency. So very defensively solid effort from both teams. Chicago outshot Columbus 32-27, but managed to lose 1-2, which is not it's quite a good result for both teams. Can't say that should have been a Chicago win, but they did have their chances, so could have gone the other way as well. Of course, happy for the goaltenders. Both played extremely well, so our under was a clear pick. And of course, if you were brave, you took under 3.5 or something like this, so even with a better odds. But yeah, like you said, two games, we still made a profit, even if we got the one wrong. So this is the reason why we do this. So the plus odds always good in this case when you are pretty certain of what's going to happen.
Yep, and usually that's the case, that we are pretty certain what will happen in upcoming games.
Yeah, the computer is even more certain, so this helps.
Yeah, computer knows everything. We know only these two games that we are picking.
Exactly.
But tonight there is quite a few more games to be played, starting with Buffalo hosting New Jersey within 2 hours. So let's show our picks first, and then we can go through the other games as well. We had two games here. First, Pittsburgh visits Madison Square Garden. Rangers host them over there. Rangers is favorite in our simulations, and odds plus 100 give good value there for the home team. Rangers have improved a little bit their game during the last matchups, and they even won one game when they played against Buffalo. But the losses that they have had away in Pittsburgh and then New Jersey, Buffalo in the last 5 games, all of those were one-goal games, some of them overtime. So very tight game expected, and New York Rangers hopefully can start to play as we predicted at the beginning of the season. The other game, Toronto continues their tour in Alberta, their second game against Edmonton. This time we are not picking the winner, even though Edmonton have some value, but their performance have been so roller coaster that it's difficult to say if they are playing as simulation show. But we are pretty sure that goalies are exhausted from their previous games. Mikko Koskinen at Edmonton's goal has played almost, I think, every game this season, and it must show somewhere. So with both teams having good attacks, good offensive systems, over 6.5 with odds plus 112 is a very good pick. Or Tommy, how do you see these two games?
Yeah, exactly like you said. I want to take the Pittsburgh New York Rangers first. Rangers, we picked them a couple of times. We've expected a lot of big things from the young team. They haven't delivered. They lost 1-goal games. They lost when they've been leading. They've lost after chasing well and all this. So now I think it's time that they start winning games. They did already quite well against Buffalo in the last round. Pittsburgh, on the other hand, lost now to Boston quite heavily. They were definitely overrunning that game. their defense has suffered a lot of injuries, and they are still in this sort of phase that it's not certain, are they going to be contenders, or are they going to be actually quite bad in the end, and maybe not even make the playoffs in this really tight division. So this is the best time for Rangers to turn their season around, and a bad time for the Penguins to lose. But this is something that in simulations we have Rangers for 57%, whereas in the odds it's about 50-50. So great value there. New York Rangers at home from a little bit better starting point than the Penguins. And then, of course, the Canadian pair that we've been predicting before as well. This time, goals. It's offensive teams. Both teams have probably realized that they're not going to do well if they start to defend, especially against each other. So we're looking for goals. I'd say 7-8 goals maybe in this game. In simulations, the average is 7.1. So even if the line is 6.5, the odds are great for that. So let's go to the over and hope for every shot to be a goal.
Yeah, I think when you bet over 6.5 goals, you really hope that it would be some kind of Saturday night fever over there in Edmonton, and there's no slowing down of their great offenses driven by Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl at Edmonton, as well as then John Tavares, Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner over there in Toronto.
Yeah, and even both teams have the defensemen who can produce a lot. So a lot of the defenders in both teams are actually better in the offensive end than they are in the defense. And of course, like you said, Mikko Koskinen has played almost every game, must be exhausted already, a big guy. They need to do something to sort his backup up as well.
But there are a lot of other games. I think overall 13 games or 14 games tonight. There are some other games with some good value based on our simulations. Like I said, Buffalo hosts first New Jersey Devils in the first early game. There's some value for Buffalo. Odds are not so great, but still home team looks to be in good shape, even though they lost against New York Rangers, but maybe they can bounce back against Devils. And then Washington, another home team with some value against Boston. Washington, I think, still have those Russian quartet out of the game, but let's see if they can continue their strong performance. Of course, Boston has played very well as well during the last games, and I think that is very interesting matchup between these two teams that have faced each other quite a few times in playoffs as well. And then I think third game that we can pick here, Winnipeg hosts Vancouver. They are clear favorite in that game. Odds indicate minus 144 for Winnipeg, but our simulation shows 61.6%. Let's see if Winnipeg can stay on their level, and Vancouver, that is a bit lower level team, won't make any surprises on the road.
Yeah, those games are really interesting, and there are quite a lot of those small value games that can go either way. And we also have these vast favorites, of course. Tonight it's going to be St. Louis is going to play Anaheim, so they are big favorites, almost 70%. Same goes Colorado visiting Minnesota, about 70% favorites. So these games are, like we've said before, clear favorites are not usually the best bets. There is some value now, but yeah, keep an eye out on the surprises. That's what we like the most in our picks, especially.
Yep, and if you are looking for big surprises, at least our simulations indicate that, like we have indicated many times earlier, that Montreal Canadiens fly will slow down and Calgary will pick up the game, but let's see, Calgary odds plus 111, and they have struggled a bit, but maybe this is the night of surprises. And then other game where away team has a reasonable side value is Florida visiting Detroit. Florida played tough games in Columbus. Detroit have struggled, like predicted from the start of the season, but the odds on the road are minus 201, so not very great odds for a road team, even they are better team than Detroit.
Yeah, that's exactly the thing, that when you go on the road and you have odds of minus something 200, it's barely any reason to take that sort of favorite, even if there is a small value, according to our simulations. But about Montreal, has to be said that if they keep on doing this, that we pick against them and they just win, they're going to win the Stanley Cup. So take a look at those odds at the moment as well, just in case, because the simulations don't seem to like it. They are playing a lot better than we have expected. So might be some adjustments needed soon, but let's keep on looking until at least, let's say, 10 to 12 games. How does it look after that? If they're still in the lead, then maybe something needs to be done.
Yeah, Montreal has maybe played against these not so top teams, but it looks like the Canadian North Scotia division is not as good as maybe it was predicted at the beginning. But it's of course difficult to say when there's no any intra-division games or intra-conference games to set up the bar against other teams.
Yeah, Montreal matches up really nicely with a lot of the Canadian teams, but maybe if they would then, or at least in the playoffs, they will have to then face the likes of Tampa Bay. They have to face the likes of the big previously Western Conference giants, Colorado, St. Louis, and Vegas, for example. Then Montreal might not look that good as they have against the Ottawas, the Vancouvers, and so on. So, but it's interesting. It's a really interesting team. They played really well, so it has to be hats off to Canadians in that regard. We didn't expect them to do so well.
Let's see how well they are doing tonight when Calgary Flames continue their trip in Montreal, second back-to-back game there between those two teams, and many others. We'll follow up then these picks and the games tomorrow and check another good slate of games tomorrow episode.
Let's do that. Have a nice Saturday, everyone.